What's going on, everybody? Jolt here from TheTokenMinorities, and I'm bringing you Week 7 of the NPL against the Green Bay Palkias, coached by my friend Mewdraco. Now, this team has not been performing terribly well this season. They only have one win on the record so far, so they have a 1-5 record, and yeah, so they're not doing too well so far, but we don't want to take them lightly either, as we did just come off a loss last week against the top team in the league. In a close game, but a loss nonetheless, so I'm definitely looking to rebound after that loss and hopefully put in some solid work in this upcoming game. So let's go ahead and take a look at the mons he has on his team. He has a Breloom, Slowking, Cobalion, Rhyperior, Mega Houndoom, Espeon, Dusclops, Crocodile, Kyurem, Flygon, and Whimsicott. So just looking at this, it's basically an RU team with a Breloom. So I'm not too worried. There's nothing that really stands out as being an enormous threat. The things that I do want to plan for a little bit more carefully are the Mega Houndoom, the Espeon, and I guess the Kyurem. I'm not at all concerned about his lone OU Pokemon, the Breloom, because as you guys know, my team does have Mega Venusaur, which is the best Breloom counter in the game. So not too concerned about that. Definitely do not anticipate him bringing it this week. I also know that just because of his record, he's likely not quite as experienced in the game, or is simply just playing this league more for fun as opposed to playing it competitively. So I do need to make sure not to let him just try to get like a cheap setup on me or something like that, like perhaps a Belly Drum with Slowking, like a Calm Mind with Cobalion, a Nasty Plot with Mega Houndoom, etc., etc. So I'm going to have to prepare for stuff like that as well. I don't want to lose for some cheap reason, basically. So that's just the thought that I went through my mind as I looked through his team originally. But let's go ahead and jump into the team building process. Alright, so first things first, I do have a trade to announce that occurred between weeks 6 and 7. We at the Toronto Staraptors decided to trade our Gligar for Bakshis Battles and the New England Patrats Gliscor, which I believe is a very beneficial trade for us, as Gliscor is still a decent or good defensive wall, but can also double as an offensive threat, which is something my team definitely wanted, as it's kind of bulky and is an offensive threat. And aside from Volcarona, I really didn't have that on my team. I guess Gyarados is pretty bulky as well, but Gyarados has been pretty hard to fit into matches thus far this season. So Gliscor seemed like a very good pickup, and I'm glad to have it on my team. To celebrate Gliscor being on my team, I did decide to bring it this week. Also for the fact that it's very, very good against Mew's team, as I'm bringing this really annoying Sub-Toxic Earthquake Protect set, which I know everyone watching this video hates, but hey, I'm bringing it anyways because it's very effective and I want to make sure I win this game. So he really only has 2 months that can deal with this. One being Kyurem, which is just a check. It can't switch in on a Toxic, or I guess it can if it wants to, but if I get up a sub against it, it's just going to be over. So that's an option he has, and then he also, of course, has the Breloom. If it is a Toxic heal or Poison heal Breloom, then this won't be terribly effective against that. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on to my next mon. I did decide to bring a Tornadus Therian because it has super effective coverage against the majority of his team, just like it has pretty much every single week this season. So yeah, I'm expecting this to be a nice win condition this game, and its speed is going to basically allow me to get out of any tight situations I might find myself in. So that's the idea there, and then I'm bringing a Quiver Dance Volcarona. This is very similar to the Volcaronas I have brought throughout this season as well. The EVs here are going to let me outspeed a neutral speed nature Kyurem, so I found that to be very beneficial, and of course the coverage by the coverage given by these attacks is very beneficial against his team, as he really doesn't have much of anything to take hits from this, outside of potentially the Dusclops, which is not going to beat Volcarona 1v1, so that's nice. Then moving on to the wall core that I decided to bring. Basically, to be honest, the first thought that went through my mind as I was creating this team is that he can't break my defensive cores. I decided to bring Empoleon, Venusaur, and Vaporeon this week, mainly because he has no electric types, so the double water is not at all a bad idea this week, and also because these 3 mons are able to regenerate themselves very, very well. Venusaur being able to pass Leech Seed support to either Empoleon or Vaporeon. Vaporeon easily able to pass Wishes to Venusaur and Empoleon and others. Basically, these mons are going to be very, very helpful this week. Panda is here to say something. Hi, Panda. Arr! So yeah, that's the team building process. Just for a little bit more of an overview, the Empoleon is the special wall, Venusaur is the physical wall, Vaporeon is the mixed wall with Wish support. So let's go ahead and jump into the battle. Alright, so a team preview, I'm really not terribly worried, especially considering he did not bring Espeon, which I thought was actually going to be the biggest threat to my team, considering my team in general just kind of struggles against powerful psychic types, and of course it has Magic Bounce, which would prevent me from Toxicking it, it'd prevent me from Leech Seeding it, so yeah, I'm actually very surprised he didn't bring it in this game, but I'm not going to complain either, as he really doesn't have anything I'm worried about. He does have the Flygon, which I guess could be an issue if it happens to be Choice Banded, but really even a Choice Banded Outrage is not going to be doing much to any of my mons. And then he has the Slowking, which I have no idea what that's going to be. I can only assume it's going to be a special wall at this point, but I always have to respect the idea that it could be a Belly Drum set, and that is quite the threat, of course, if it is a Belly Drum set. Then he has the Mega Houndoom, which I do have hard-walled by Vaporeon. He has Whimsicott, which is likely hard-walled by Venusaur if it doesn't have Choice Specs or Life Orb Hurricane, but I can react accordingly depending on what its set is. Then he has the Dusclops, which again I'm not worried about whatsoever, and of course the Kyurem on the right there that I have lots of answers for as well. So this game is looking pretty good at team preview. I do decide to lead with my Venusaur here, as it does have a very good matchup against really his entire team. The only thing I'd have to switch out against is the Houndoom. So let's go ahead and lead off with Venusaur here, and we can jump into this battle. He decides to lead off with Whimsicott, which is perfect. I'm just going to go straight for the Sludge Bomb here, as he has no real switch-ins. He could go into Dusclops here, but if I get the poison on the incoming Dusclops, that'd be great. But it turns out that he just goes for a substitute, I guess, to scout for what I wanted to do, and that's fine. He does decide to go into Dusclops here, which is a pretty obvious switch, in my opinion, so I do just go for a Leech Seed to catch it on that switch, and then I'm going to be able to suck some health out of that Dusclops turn by turn. I do take this as an opportunity to go into my Volcarona, as I do have a Lumberry on this Volcarona, as I mentioned before, and now I'm going to be able to freely just go for Fire Blast, gauge the damage, gauge Dusclops' EV spread, and just suck off that Toxic in the process and Leech Seed damage, and be in a pretty good situation. Now here I expect him to go for a Pain Split, considering the Fire Blast likely wouldn't have been able to KO unless I just had a very low roll, and I didn't want to, I don't know, just randomly go for a Fire Blast and let him get more health back from the Pain Split, or take more health from me rather. So I decided to go for a Quiver Dance and then follow it up with a Bug Buzz, such that I don't waste PP, because this Dusclops is a pressure Pokemon, so it's able to take 2 PP of my moves every time I use one, and I wanted to conserve Fire Blast PP, so I do go for a Bug Buzz, he goes for a Destiny Bond, so I go for Quiver Dance again and then Fire Blast, and I take it out. So that's a nice 6-5 advantage. Here he goes into his Flygon, and I just hop straight into my Mega Venusaur, as it is going to be a hard wall to any Flygon set. Not worried about it whatsoever. I do just go for the Leech Seed here, as I am expecting the switch, and he goes into his Houndoom. Now here, this isn't really a big moment in the game, but it is nice because I am able to gauge whether or not he's going to be a Nasty Plot variant, as this definitely was a turn where he probably should have just gone for the Nasty Plot. At least I would have, just to try to punch a hole in my team, but it turns out that he's just going to Mega Evolve and go for the Fire Blast, and it does like 19% negligible damage, especially after the Leech Seed. It's going to leave me with 95% health, so that is not even a problem to worry about here. So I do just go for the Wish, as he's obviously going to switch out. There's no way he could do anything more to me with Houndoom, and he just goes straight to Kyurem, which I am okay with. I just go for Protect because I wanted to scout, see what he wanted to do. I didn't really feel a need to switch out, and I do have a perfect switch into Kyurem anyways in my Empoleon, so I'm not really worried whatsoever here. So he goes for the Substitute and then the Hone Claws, which is kind of interesting. I know that Kyurem's standards move pool, at least physical move pool, is pretty lackluster, so I'm not really worried about what he wants to do here either. So, I don't know. He's got some interesting mons. He has an interesting set here as well, as he does have Dragon Tail, which of course forces me to switch out my Empoleon. I go into my Venusaur here, which, I mean, that's an okay situation to be in. I probably should have just gone for the Sludge Bomb, but he wanted to just go for that Dragon Tail a couple times here. I don't know, not really a whole lot to say on this. This whole section is just kind of stally as I'm trying to get into a decent position. I keep wanting to get my Empoleon in there without him just going for a Dragon Tail and knocking me right out, or making me switch out rather. But he keeps going for Dragon Tail or substitutes, etc. So I'm having kind of a hard time in this area, but it's a fun time over here. He does miss this Dragon Tail, which is kind of nice because now I'm able to hopefully knock out his substitute with another Sludge Bomb. He does misplay here and goes for the substitute, I guess assuming that he was going to be slower than my Mega Venusaur, which is fine. I guess he forgot about the negative priority that Dragon Tail entails. So yeah, we are going to speed this section up because this goes on a little while. Okay, so finally he Dragon Tails me into my Volcarona, which is actually a decent position for me, as, like I said before, my Volcarona is EV'd to outspeed a neutral speed Kyurem by 1. So, I'm anticipating that I'm going to be able to outspeed this thing here, so I'm just going to go straight for the Fire Blast, knowing how much damage, roughly how much damage the Sludge Bomb was doing for my Venusaur. I am anticipating this Fire Blast taking the Kyurem out. However, he does live at 1%, which is kind of unfortunate. However, he does activate my Volcarona's Flame Body, and down goes Kyurem to the burn damage. So now I'm sitting in a 6-4 situation, which is really nice because now the Kyurem is down, and there's only really one quote-unquote threat to my team. That's the Houndoom, and of course I have that hard counter by Vaporeon, so we're in a good situation here. I do just go into my Vaporeon on the Houndoom as that is my best play. I'm just going to go for the Wish here again, excuse me, as it's my best play. I mean, I don't really have anything else I really can do. I could just go for a Scald, but I am kind of worried about the Destiny Bond on the Houndoom, so I don't just want to go for the Scald and perhaps lose my Vaporeon when I know the Vaporeon is going to be very handy with that Haze, as I'm going to potentially need that Haze against his Slowking or maybe even against his Flygon. I'm not sure if Flygon gets boosting moves, but potentially against his Slowking, so that's why I'm playing this kind of safely at this point. It is making the battle become much longer than it probably needed to be, but that was just my thought process. Here he goes for the Trick Room on Slowking, and this was my indicator that this is absolutely a Belly Drum Slowking, so I'm glad I was thinking about that, and I'm very, very, very glad that I brought Haze on this Vaporeon. Because he went for Trick Room on this turn, I am anticipating him to go for the Belly Drum on the following turn, and as a result, I'm just going to go straight for the Haze to dash any hopes he had of trying to pull off a sweep. So I'm sure that was just a dagger to his heart at that point in the game, but I'm very happy that I have Haze in this situation. Here I am just going to keep spamming Haze, as I don't want him to get off a Belly Drum essentially, because he is still under Trick Room, and I don't lose anything by just clicking Haze over and over and over here, especially considering Haze has 48 PP, I believe, and there are only maybe 2 or 3 more turns of Trick Room at that point now that it's gone. But yeah, so now I'm just going to go for the Scald now that the Trick Room is over, and I don't get the burn, which is kind of unfortunate. I am kind of fishing for a burn on this Slowking, as I just need a status on this, and then I can easily stall it out with Vaporeon. Here he switches into Whimsicott, and I go for Scald again. I don't get the burn again, so that's unfortunate. It is just going to prolong the process of what I anticipate doing at the end of this game. I just go into my Venusaur here, as it is a perfect switch into a non-Hurricane variant of Whimsicott, and I'm just going to go straight for the Giga Drain, predicting that Flygon, as I know he wasn't going to leave the Whimsicott in, and I wanted to conserve PP of Sludge Bomb just in case I had to burn some Sludge Bombs to take out the Houndoom, or I had to burn Sludge Bombs against Whimsicott substitutes and such. So I do go for a series of Giga Drains, and I'm able to take out the Flygon, so that's nice. We're in a 6-3 situation now. We definitely are looking to win this game. It's just a question at this point of what the score will be in the end. He goes into a Slowking, and fearing, of course, the Trick Room Belly Drum combo, I'm going to go straight into my Vaporeon, as it is my best play. I cannot let him get the Belly Drum off with the Trick Room up, as that would put a huge dent in my team, and that's something I just simply can't afford. I go for the Scald here as it goes into Whimsicott, and finally I get a burn, so I can start to put the pressure on this Whimsicott. I'm just going to go for a Protect here just to get some health back, as this is my counter to Mega Houndoom. I can't let this get too low on health, as he could very easily hit me with the Dark Pulse on the switch in, and then flinch me the following turn, and then just take me out with the next Dark Pulse, and that'd be really, really, really bad. So I wanted to have Vaporeon at maximum health for that situation. And here we're just going to kind of go through that same process again. I'm going to go for the Wish on this turn just to keep my health as high as possible. He decides to go for the Belly Drum again, but he does not have the Trick Room up, so I am not in a bad situation at all, because I do outspeed him outside of the Trick Room. Just, excuse me, I can just go for the Haze, and yeah, that Belly Drum is all for naught. He is going to switch out into his Whimsicott again as I go for the Scald, so he's just going to be slowly losing health on his Whimsicott, and as long as I have Venusaur alive, this Whimsicott cannot get health back with Leech Seed, so I am just going to go straight into Venusaur here, and if he does just go for a Worry Seed, which is kind of a nice play, as now I don't have Thick Fat with Venusaur, so that makes me vulnerable to the Houndoom, essentially. Even though at this range of HP, I'm still pretty sure I would die to a Fire Blast from Mega Houndoom. But regardless, I am going to go straight into my counter, the Vaporeon, and eat up this Dark Pulse, which does 31% negligible damage. Vaporeon was definitely the MVP in this game. He just goes for Protect here, which I guess was a mechanism of scouting for choice mons that I might have brought, or more likely it was a method of causing me to hit myself in the face with High Jump Kick if I had brought Hawlucha. So I'm assuming that was the idea there, but I do just take out the Houndoom with the Scald at that point, which is great. We are now in a 6-1 situation, and now it's just looking great for Vaporeon to finish this game up. Unfortunately, these last few turns are going to be kind of stally, as I don't want to risk losing the 6-0. The differential is very important in the NPL. Keep that in mind for all of you who are watching. Normally, in an OU game, I am not one to run up the score, as I play a very safe game. I don't care about the score in OU, but in NPL, it is kind of important, because the score does determine your seed in the playoffs. It determines your ranking in your conference, and etc, etc. So I am going to leave Vaporeon in, and I'm going to slowly stall out the remainder of Slowking's HP. There I was just scouting for his Drain Punch, because I didn't know what his fourth move was. I figured he would reveal it there, and he did do it, and it's doing 7.8% after the burn. So this game is essentially over, and that will move the Toronto Staraptors to a beautiful 5-2 record. We are number 1 in my conference still. We have a huge lead in our differential, as the second place team in my conference did lose this week to, I believe, the team that I lost to last week as well. So yeah, we have a very, very good lead in our conference. We are 3rd overall at this point. I believe there are 2 teams that only have 1 loss, one of which is K2, which is the team that I beat in week 2, and the second of which is the team I lost to last week. So we are right there in the elite of this league, and we are doing quite well this season. So thank you for watching, guys. And week 8, we will be playing the Tampa Bay Rayquazas, who are a very good team. They were tied for number 1 in the league not long ago. They have had a rough time these past few weeks against some very good teams, so they are no slouch, and quite honestly, my team matchup is pretty poor next week, so it's going to be a tough one to prepare for, but I hope you will come back and watch Week 8. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you all next week.